research that we do is all about the experiences of migrants, mostly forced migrants, people who've had to leave their home countries, who've come to seek safety and shelter in Australia.
I've been mainly driven by the questions that are at the centre of political conversation in Australia. So that, for example, at the moment, I have great interest in climate change and why Australia's moved in the direction it has. But I've also been working for 10 years or more on Aboriginal child removal.
Marketing is my disciplinary background, but I specialise in the tourism industry, looking at the sorts of factors that affect particularly tourism marketing and consumer behaviour issues.
I've been involved in a number of projects that have been aimed at rethinking what we mean by human security, how relevant it is to Australian foreign policy and how it impinges upon the way in which we understand the world and the sorts of threats and possibilities that are likely to happen in the future.
And this bridge is really important because it's the old railway bridge over which many of the migrants who came to Melbourne and Australia travelled when they first got here. In Australia, we often don't see diversity until we really look, or until it's picked out for one reason or another. And I think that's what's really important about the research, about how do people both come together as well as live in their own separate worlds with their own cultural meanings, and how do we create a really good cohesive society?
A lot of the debate that goes on about the things in Australia which are central to identity, like climate change, like refugees and asylum seekers, like Indigenous matters, these are often discussed at a rather superficial level. And I think we're in a very bad state if our discussion is limited to things that happen on television, radio, newspapers.
I've done quite a bit of work looking at the management and marketing of tourism destinations, and in particular what makes destinations competitive. And if you're going to develop marketing campaigns, if you're going to look at the sort of government policies that are required in this area, you need to understand something about how tourists think, feel and behave.
My own personal involvement in that's really grown out of doing a lot of research on HIV/AIDS and the impact of a global epidemic on security, on people's lives, on general frameworks of political and social structures and how they're affected by a major catastrophe such as a new epidemic.
It's a privilege being able to be an anthropologist and being able to be welcomed into people's lives and research that, and then to offer those insights in a broader way that help, I think, a more collective understanding about how people have families, about those everyday aspirations and the things that stop them.
I think the most rewarding part of my work is actually when you see that things you've done have mattered to the general public. And there have been occasions when I've been involved in something or other when an audience of 700 or 1,000 turns up to hear the discussion take place.
What is interesting in studying tourism development is the human behaviour aspects behind it. What motivates people, quality of life sorts of issues that are important in this industry as well.
There's something for me very nice about having this conversation with you here in an Oxfam shop, because it's sort of symbolic of those broader coalitions that we're trying to build through a research process.
Melbourne and Australia are terrific multicultural environments, but I think it's a fragile gift and we can't take it for granted. The more we take it for granted, the more we're bound to lose it, and that's why anthropology is really important.
Human societies defy the attempts to get general laws or generalisations that work. They require incredible subtlety, and unless we understand ourselves as human beings, then we're in dire straits.
As individuals, there's not that much we can really accomplish, but if you look at a city like the city of Melbourne here, it's, or any sort of area of human activity, it's amazing what as a society and through our organisations we can achieve so much.
I'm Sandy Gifford. I'm a professor at La Trobe, and I'm the director of the La Trobe Refugee Research Centre at the university.
I'm Robert Mann. I'm Professor of Politics, the School of Social Sciences. I'm also the convener of something we call the Ideas and Society program at La Trobe University.
My name is Dennis Altman, and I'm Professor of Politics and Director of the Institute for Human Security at La Trobe University.
I'm Geoffrey Crouch. I'm a Professor of Marketing in the School of Management, part of the Faculty of Law and Management at La Trobe University.